They say the best camera is the one that you have with you. You don't need the fanciest or the latest camera to be able to create videos. What if I told you the camera that you already have in your pocket could be a studio camera? Let's test it out. This video is for anyone who's been wanting to start making videos, maybe for YouTube, maybe for your business, but you just don't want to spend thousands on gear. We're going to test if this works as a studio camera. We're also going to pair this with the Blackmagic Camera App, which is free, that you can get to add that secret sauce to be able to get the footage that we want, the best looking footage from an iPhone. We'll go over the best settings to use, the lighting setup, the audio setups, and how to make your footage look more cinematic straight out of your iPhone. Let's jump right in. First up is the gear you'll need for a studio setup. You don't need a whole bunch of money to be able to set up a studio. You can make any room work. You just need your iPhone. You're gonna need a tripod or some sort of mount for your phone. You're gonna need some good lighting, like a ring light or a softbox. You're also going to want an external mic to be able to get the best audio from your iPhone. And you're also going to want a clean background or some simple background for your studio. Maybe add in a few lights to be able to add some depth to your video. Remember to keep it simple. The goal is to make what you have look intentional as a studio setup. The biggest upgrade to your video quality isn't the camera, it's actually your setup and your lighting. Now you can't just set up your iPhone and just use the native camera app and film from there. You'll have minimal editing, minimal work to do to your videos to make them look good. Now if you want to get a little more detailed, a little more cinematic looking, switch over to the cinematic view on the iPhone. Just using the native camera app on the iPhone is going to allow you to just use the footage straight out of the iPhone, minimal editing. You don't have to do a whole lot to it. But if you want to get that secret sauce, the little extra cinematic look to your footage, then we're going to dive into the Blackmagic Camera App. If you haven't downloaded it yet, it's free on the App Store. This app gives you manual controls like a real DSLR or mirrorless camera, a real cinema camera. So let's dive right in. So we're going to go into our settings and go into our resolution. Make sure that this is set at 4K. This is obviously going to be set at the highest of whatever your phone can shoot in. So I have this set to 4K. Now let's jump back over to the camera. Up here in the top, you'll see lens, frames per second, and shutter speed. We're gonna go right into our frame rate. We want this to be set at 24 frames a second or at 30 if you're shooting for just specifically shooting for social media. Some people like to do 30. I like to shoot in 24 frames a second. Next, we're going to go to our shutter speed. Make sure that this is locked in double of your frame rate. So we're shooting at 24 frames a second. We want to set this to 48 or 1/50th of a second, whichever is the closest you can get to being double of your frame rate. Now, shooting in 24 frames a second is going to give you the best look out of your camera. If you shoot in 30 frames a second, you'll get a little bit cleaner look and it looks good on social media. All right, from our camera, go back into settings. We're going to set our codec settings. If you want to do the most editing, if you want to do a lot of color grading and editing later, you can switch this to Apple Log. So you can shoot this to Apple Log and you'll be able to do a lot more with the color grading to edit it into your own specific style. If not, just use the H.265 codec and the Rec. 709 color space, and that's going to give you a lot of room for color grading. If you want to do color grading, switch it into Apple ProRes. You want to lock your ISO in as low as possible to get the cleanest image out of your camera. So try to keep this as low as possible. Try to stay under 400 to keep your image clean. If not, if you get a little bit higher in that ISO range, your image is going to get a little more grainy. You're going to get a little more pixels into your image that make it look kind of fuzzy. So try to keep your ISO low. Next is white balance, right up here at the top. I'm at 5300 Kelvin. You want to set this manually. You don't want to leave this on auto. You want to use that Kelvin slider and match your lighting around 5500 for daylight and 3200 for tungsten light. You know, it kind of depends on the lighting in the room. You're going to have to adjust this. Right now, I've got this set at 5300 because of the lighting in the room. All right, once we have our Kelvin set, you want to unselect that. Make sure your tint, they also have tint in here. So you can make this more green looking, more red looking. So I'm gonna keep this set pretty much in the middle. Right now we'll just go with no tint at all either direction. Now to set your focus, the trick here is to just tap and hold just like you would in your native camera app on the iPhone. And this is gonna lock in the focus point on your iPhone. All right, now we've gone through all our settings. This is what separates your video from looking like a random iPhone clip to just looking like a real camera setup. We've taken control of all the settings in the iPhone to make sure that our settings are dialed in, ready to get us the best quality. The lighting though is going to really make or break your footage. You'll want to use a key light about 45-degree angles such as a softbox. I'm using the Amaran 60XS with a softbox on it. You'll also want to add a little bit of backlight if you can. That's just separating you from the background and adds a little more depth to your video. Also, you want to keep your background a little bit darker than your face so you pop out from the background and the background is less distracting. Here's a tip for getting good audio. You can have the best video in the world, but if it sounds bad, people are going to click away. Use a wireless mic like the DJI mic, or use a shotgun mic that you can plug in to your iPhone and get better audio from it. Even a lav mic clipped to your shirt makes a massive difference than using the iPhone's mic. But if you don't have any of those, then you can just adjust the audio later. All right, so let's test this and set it up. We've got the iPhone set up. We've got it on a tripod. We've got a soft light off to the side, about a 45-degree angle. We've got the DJI mic connected to the phone, the background light for a little bit of separation. You don't need thousands of dollars of gear just to make content that looks amazing. The iPhone paired with the Blackmagic app, or even if you're using the native camera app, can still give you some great image quality, and it's something that fit right in your pocket and you have it with you all the time. Here we're set up with the Blackmagic Camera app, all the settings dialed in like we would with a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. So we should be getting the best look that we can out of the iPhone. We've got our softbox over here. We've got the camera set up about an arm's length away. You can also add a blur to the background with this app, and this is what that would look like. This is a pretty simple studio setup, but this is what we can get with the iPhone using the Blackmagic Camera app to dial in our settings like we would in manual mode on our camera. Now let's switch over to the native camera app and see if we can get some similar results out of the iPhone. Now we're in the native camera app. This is just the regular video mode and same setup as we had before. This is kind of the results we can get. I did set the exposure by tapping that on the screen, dragging that exposure down to -0.7. Otherwise, the iPhone tries to expose more for the highlights and shadows, and it will often try to lighten up the shadows, but then it blows out the highlights. I'm going to put all these side by side so we can compare them, but let's switch over to cinematic mode and see if we can get some more depth of field in our video. All right, now we're in cinematic mode. We should have a lot more depth of field, even though it is digital. We should get some pretty good results with this, get some more bokeh blur in the background, with the subject standing out. So this is what you get in cinematic mode. I'm gonna put all these clips together using cinematic mode, using the regular video mode, also using the Blackmagic Camera app, as well as using the blur in the Blackmagic Camera app as well. Let me know in the comments down below which one you think looks the best. Alright guys, that's about it for this video. Hope this video was helpful in setting your iPhone up for a studio camera, or if you just want to do some more filmmaking with it with some better settings, trying out the Blackmagic Camera app using manual mode to get the best quality out of it. If this video was helpful, be sure to drop a like down below. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see any more videos testing out the iPhone. And if you missed my video on using an action camera for a studio camera and you don't want to use your iPhone, be sure to check that one out here, and I'll see you in the next video.